Welcome back, friend. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Tonight, I am taking you to a tiny, warm galley out on the open ocean. Together, we will join Jaka, a ship's cook, as he moves through the quiet, beautifully boring routines of life at sea. This story is intentionally slow, repetitive, and deeply peaceful, designed to gently quiet your mind and heavy your eyelids. The ship is safe, the sea is perfectly calm, and the night is yours. Close your eyes and enjoy your sleep. The first light of dawn filters softly through the small wooden slats of the galley window. The ship rocks with a gentle, hypnotic motion that makes the old timbers creak softly. Jaka stretches his arms slowly, feeling the cool morning air brush against his skin. He steps onto the smooth, polished teak floorboards, barefoot and entirely unhurried. The world outside is still painted in shades of deep indigo and quiet grey. Every surface in the galley feels cool to the touch, smoothed by years of salt and daily care. He lights a small brass oil lamp, watching the tiny flame dance and cast warm amber shadows across the walls. The gentle glow illuminates the neat rows of clay pots and tightly woven bamboo baskets. Inside the largest basket lies the heart of the ship's cargo, pristine, sun-dried Javanese rice. Jaka plunges his hand into the grain, letting the cool, smooth kernels slide through his fingers like water. The soft rustling sound is the only noise breaking the deep silence of the early morning. It is a comforting, rhythmic sound that he has known for many years. He measures out a portion of the rice into a heavy, dark clay pot. Each scoop is deliberate, measured by a lifetime of quiet mornings, just like this one. He carries the pot to the water barrel, where the fresh water rests, calm and clear. The water flows softly over the rice, turning slightly cloudy as he rinses the grains with slow, circular motions. He repeats the process twice, watching the ripples settle into perfect stillness each time. The scent of damp earth and clean grain rises gently into the small space. Next, Jaka opens a small wooden drawer to retrieve a single dried pandan leaf. He rubs the long leaf between his palms to release its sweet, comforting fragrance. The smell of vanilla and warm fields fills the galley, blending with the salty breeze from the sea. He ties the leaf into a neat knot and drops it carefully onto the wet rice. He places the heavy clay lid onto the pot, sealing the warmth and fragrance inside. Everything is prepared with a deep, patient care that requires no rush at all. He turns his attention to the small wood-burning stove arranged safely in the center of the kitchen. He places a few dry pieces of coconut husk onto the grate to catch the flame. The dry husks ignite with a tiny crackle, spreading a gentle, sweet smoke through the room. He blows softly onto the embers, watching them embrighten into a soft, steady orange glow. The warmth begins to radiate outward, chasing away the last lingering chill of the night. He sits down on a low wooden stool,
resting his hands on his knees as the stove does its work. The ship continues its steady, effortless glide through the calm waters of the Java coast. Jaka closes his eyes for a moment, listening to the soft sigh of the wind in the rigging above. The steam from the clay pot begins to whisper through the edges of the lid. It carries the rich, sweet aroma of cooking rice and toasted pandan throughout the entire galley. There is nowhere else to be and nothing else to do but wait for the morning to unfold. The day ahead promises only the same peaceful, slow rhythms of the sea.
With the rice simmering quietly on the stove, Jaka steps out onto the narrow wooden deck. The morning sun has finally cleared the horizon, painting the smooth water in ribbons of soft gold and pale pink. A gentle, cool breeze catches the edges of his sarong, moving the fabric in a slow, hypnotic sway. The sea is so remarkably still that the ship seems to slide across a vast sheet of tinted glass. Far in the distance, the faint, hazy outline of the Javanese coastline rests like a sleeping green giant. He breathes in the fresh, cool air, letting the clean scent of the open ocean fill his chest completely. Jaka sits down cross-legged on a worn, woven palm mat near the galley. In front of him rests a heavy, dark stone mortar carved from old volcanic rock. The surface of the stone is rough but familiar, completely cooled by the night air. Beside it lies a small basket containing a few pale shallots, a clove of garlic, and a small piece of fresh turmeric. He selects a shallot, slowly peeling away the thin paper-like skin with his fingers. The dry skin makes a tiny, crisp rustling sound as it falls gently onto the mat. He slices the shallot into thick, even pieces, completely unhurried by the passage of time. He places the pieces into the hollow of the stone mortar and takes up the heavy pestle. With a steady, rhythmic motion, he begins to press and grind the ingredients together. The sound of stone meeting stone is low, deep, and incredibly soothing to hear. The sharp, bright scent of the crushed shallot releases into the air, awakening his senses in the gentlest possible way. He adds a small pinch of coarse sea salt, watching the crystals dissolve into the moisture of the paste. Each turn of his wrist is slow, deliberate, and perfectly steady. The monotony of the task brings a deep, comfortable quiet to his mind. Next, Jaka takes half of a freshly cracked coconut, its interior bright white and smelling of sweet milk. He uses a small wooden scraper with a spiked iron blade, sitting comfortably over the collection bowl. He draws the coconut shell across the blade with a soft, repetitive scraping motion. Fine, fluffy flakes of white coconut fall silently into the wooden bowl below, like gentle winter snow. The motion is completely automatic, a dance his hands have performed thousands of times before. The sweet, rich aroma of the fresh coconut completely envelops him, mixing with the salt air. He pauses for a brief moment, letting his hands rest as a heavy yawn overtakes him. He gathers the fluffy coconut flakes and gently mixes them into the fragrant spice paste using his fingertips. The yellow turmeric tints the white coconut,
a warm, beautiful shade of soft marigold. He folds the mixture over and over, ensuring every single flake is gently coated with the aromatics. This simple side dish will steam alongside the rice, providing a humble, satisfying meal for the small crew. There is no urgency to finish, no deadline to meet, only the slow turning of the earth. The ship lifts ever so slightly on a lazy swell, then settles back down into its peaceful rhythm. Jaka lifts the bowl and walks slowly back into the warmth of the quiet galley.
With the spice mixture completely ready, Jaka decides to take a slow walk down to the ship's lower hold to check on the main cargo. He carries an old unlit brass lantern just in case, though the soft morning light already slips gently through the narrow cracks in the deck boards above. He descends the thick wooden ladder one careful step at a time, feeling the sturdy, smooth wood beneath his bare feet. The air down here is noticeably cooler, holding a deep, reassuring stillness that feels completely isolated from the rest of the world. It smells heavily of dry burlap sacks, woven palm fibers, and the clean, earthy aroma of thousands of pounds of raw rice. The quietness in the belly of the ship is immense, muffled beautifully by the massive, heavy cargo. Rows upon rows of neatly stacked jute sacks stretch into the dim, shadowy corners of the hold. Jaka walks down the narrow aisle between them, his shoulder gently brushing against the rough, textured fabric of the bags. He stops beside a particularly large stack and places his open palm flat against the side of a woven sack. He can feel the tightly packed, cool grains shifting ever so slightly under the gentle pressure of his hand. There is absolutely no moisture here, only a perfect crisp dryness that ensures the precious cargo will remain safe throughout the long journey. The gentle creaking of the hull sounds different down here, deep and resonant, like the slow breathing of a giant wooden creature. He stands perfectly still for a long moment, simply enjoying the absolute peace of the dark hold. Satisfied that all is well, he climbs back up the ladder and steps into the bright, warm morning air of the main deck. He walks back into the small galley, where the clay pot on the stove is now releasing a thick, steady plume of white steam. The aroma of the boiling pandan leaf has intensified, filling every corner of the small room with a rich, comforting sweetness. He takes a clean, wide banana leaf from a small stack on the counter and holds it briefly over the low fire. The gentle heat softens the leaf instantly, changing its color to a vibrant, glossy green and releasing a faint, tea-like scent. He will use this softened leaf to line the wooden steaming basket for the spiced coconut mixture he prepared earlier. Jaka carefully places the glossy banana leaf into the woven bamboo steaming basket, smoothing it down gently with his fingers. He pours the marigold-colored coconut and spice mixture onto the green leaf, spreading it into a perfectly flat, even layer. He uses a small wooden spoon to create a few small wells in the mixture, allowing the hot steam to rise through it evenly. He then places this bamboo basket directly on top of the bubbling clay pot of rice, sealing them together perfectly. The two distinct aromas begin to merge in the air, creating a deeply satisfying scent of warm grain, mild shallots, and sweet coconut. It is the simple,
nourishing scent of home, carried far out across the open blue sea. Jaka returns to his low wooden stool, leaning his back comfortably against the smooth bulkhead of the ship. He watches the white steam curl and twist as it rises lazily toward the dark wooden ceiling before drifting out the window. The repetitive, rhythmic sloshing of the waves against the hull acts as a gentle, hypnotic lullaby for the crew. His eyelids feel increasingly heavy, weighed down by the warm, fragrant air of the kitchen and the steady, rocking motion of the boat. The ship glides effortlessly forward through the calm waters, completely unbothered by time or distance. There is nothing left to do now but sit quietly and let the morning pass by, one slow breath at a time.
The intense aroma of fully cooked rice and toasted coconut now fills every single corner of the small galley. The bars of sunlight streaming through the wooden slats have grown wider, illuminating the tiny dust motes dancing lazily in the warm air. Jaka slowly opens his eyes and sits up straight on his low wooden stool, feeling completely rested and at peace. He looks at the clay pot on the stove, where the steam has slowed to a gentle, steady whisper. The fire beneath has burned down to a beautiful bed of dull, glowing embers that give off a soft, reassuring warmth. He reaches out with a thick folded cloth to touch the hot handle of the bamboo steaming basket. He lifts the bamboo basket carefully, setting it down on the smooth teak counter next to the stove. As he lifts the woven lid, a thick cloud of warm, fragrant steam billows upward into his face, carrying the rich scent of the spiced coconut. The marigold-colored mixture has firmed up beautifully, its surface dotted with tiny beads of sweet, extracted coconut oil. The scent of the crushed shallots, garlic, and fresh turmeric has mellowed into something incredibly soothing and mild. Jaka uses a small wooden paddle to gently fluff the mixture, letting the excess steam escape into the room. Every movement he makes is slow, practiced, and completely devoid of any rush. Next, he removes the heavy clay lid from the main pot beneath, revealing the perfectly steamed Javanese rice. The long grains are plump, glistening, and completely tender, clustered together in a beautiful snowy white mound. Jaka uses his wooden paddle to turn the rice over gently, releasing another wave of warm, vanilla-scented air. He carefully lifts the softened pandan leaf out of the pot and sets it aside on a clean tray. The texture of the rice is exactly as it should be, light and fluffy, yet holding together with a gentle stickiness. He takes a few more wide green banana leaves that he softened over the fire earlier that morning. He wipes each leaf down with a clean, damp cloth, tracing the natural parallel lines of the smooth green surface. He cuts the large leaves into neat circular portions to serve as natural disposable plates for the crew. The fresh, clean scent of the cut leaves mixes beautifully with the warm, rich aromas of the cooked food. He places a generous scoop of the steaming white rice onto the center of the first green leaf. Beside the rice, he adds a careful spoonful of the fragrant, golden-spiced coconut topping. The simple meal looks beautiful against the vibrant, glossy green background of the banana leaf.
It is a modest breakfast, but one that provides deep comfort and steady energy for a long day on the calm water. Jaka arranges the prepared portions neatly along the counter, ready for the crew to come down whenever they please. There is no bell to ring, no sudden announcement to make, as everyone on board follows the same silent, natural clock. He leans against the galley door frame, looking out at the endless, shimmering blue of the peaceful Java Sea. The world remains completely still, wrapped in the quiet, comforting routine of life at sea. One by one, the few crew members walk toward the galley with slow, heavy footsteps. They greet Jaka with simple, silent nods, their faces relaxed and softened by the warm morning light. Each man takes a banana leaf portion from the wooden counter, holding the warm parcel carefully with both hands. They sit down on the smooth deckboards, leaning comfortably against the sturdy wooden bulwarks or large coiled ropes. The atmosphere is completely quiet, filled only with the soft, rhythmic creaking of the ship's tall mast. No words are spoken among them, as the peaceful morning requires absolutely no conversation. The sound of eating is soft and deeply comforting in the quiet air. They use their fingers to mix the warm white rice with the golden spiced coconut topping. Jaka watches peacefully from the doorway as they take small, deliberate bites of the fragrant food. The rich, savory taste brings a visible sense of comfort and satisfaction to their sun-warmed faces. The soft rustle of fingers against the smooth banana leaves blends naturally with the gentle washing of the sea against the hull. It is a deeply satisfying sight for Jaka, knowing his morning work brings such quiet contentment to his companions. A lone seabird glides silently overhead, its wide white wings catching the golden sunlight. Jaka prepares his own small portion on a glossy green leaf, sitting down on his familiar wooden stool. He lets his legs stretch out completely across the threshold of the galley, feeling the warm sun on his ankles. He takes a small pinch of the warm rice, feeling the soft, slightly sticky texture between his fingertips. The first bite is beautifully mild, filled with the sweet fragrance of the pandan and the rich warmth of the turmeric. He chews slowly, savoring the familiar flavors that remind him of the fertile Javanese soil back home. The gentle heat from the spices warms him from the inside out, making his eyelids feel even heavier. The ship rolls lazily to the left, then gently back to the right, keeping perfect time with his steady breathing. Once finished, the crew members quietly place their empty, folded banana leaves into a small wicker basket. They nod gratefully to Jaka before returning to their quiet, unhurried duties around the steady ship. One man slowly adjusts a thick hemp rope, while another stands peacefully at the large wooden helm, guiding the ship along the calm coast. The empty leaves leave a faint, sweet scent behind on the warm deck, mingling with the salt air. Jaka stands up without any rush and collects the empty clay pots to begin the simple cleaning process. The fresh water in the wash bucket is cool and clear, reflecting the bright blue of the cloudless morning sky. He dips a soft, fibrous coconut husk into the water and begins to wipe the smooth interior of the main cooking pot. The rhythmic scrubbing makes a low, shushing sound that is incredibly peaceful and repetitive to listen to. He rinses the pot slowly, watching the water swirl around before pouring it gently over the side of the ship. The droplets fall into the ocean, disappearing instantly into the vast shimmering expanse of the Java Sea. The sun is high now, warming the dark teak wood until it gives off its own rich, earthy perfume. Jaka wipes his hands on a dry cloth, completely content with the slow, beautiful boredom of another day at sea. The sun reaches its highest point in the pale blue sky, casting short, dark shadows directly beneath the ship's tall masts. The wind has dropped completely, leaving the heavy canvas sails hanging limp and silent in the warm afternoon air. The Java Sea has transformed into a vast, unmoving mirror, reflecting the brilliant glare of the sun without a single ripple. The intense heat softly warms the dark pitch between the deck planks, releasing a rich woody scent of old resin and dry pine. Jaka retreats to the small patch of shade beneath the awning, his body feeling heavy and deeply relaxed. The entire ship has fallen into a profound midday slumber where even the seabirds have stopped their distant crying. To soothe the quiet afternoon heat, Jaka decides to prepare a simple drink of water sweetened with dark palm sugar. He retrieves a solid cake of deep brown coconut sugar from a small dry storage tin inside the galley. The sugar is dense and rich, smelling faintly of wood smoke and sweet dark caramel. With a small blunt knife, he slowly shaves thin flakes from the block, letting them fall directly into a weathered clay cup. The dry scraping sound of the knife is soft and rhythmic, filling the quiet space with a steady, comforting hum. He takes his time with each stroke, enjoying the slow, mindless repetition of the simple task. He pours clean, cool water over the dark sugar shavings. With a smooth wooden stick, he begins to stir the liquid in slow, steady circular motions. The dark brown flakes slowly dissolve into the water, creating tiny swirling patterns of amber and gold. The soft clinking of the wooden stick against the sides of the clay cup is incredibly muffled and soothing to hear. A sweet, earthy aroma rises gently from the cup, mixing naturally with the heavy scent of the warm teak wood. Jaka watches the tiny whirlpool spin and gradually slow down until the amber liquid becomes perfectly still once more. He takes a small, cautious sip of the sweet drink, letting the rich warmth linger on his tongue. It is simple and deeply grounding, bringing a quiet sense of comfort to his incredibly lazy afternoon. He rests his head back against the smooth, sun-warmed wooden bulkhead, closing his eyes against the bright glare of the open sea. The gentle, nearly imperceptible lift and fall of the ship is the only sign of movement in the entire world. Every muscle in his body feels completely loose, weighted down by the pleasant, heavy warmth of the tropical sun. The slow passage of time feels utterly meaningless out here on the vast, open water. A soft, warm breeze finally returns, brushing gently across his skin like a phantom touch. The limp canvas sails above give a single low sigh as they catch the tiny, delicate breath of air.
The faint, rhythmic lapping of water against the thick hull resumes its slow, hypnotic lullaby. Jaka lets his hands rest loosely in his lap, the clay cup cradled safely between his relaxed palms. His breathing slows down significantly, matching the deep, tranquil rhythm of the sleeping trading ship. There is absolutely nothing to disturb this perfect, beautiful emptiness of the long afternoon. The intense heat of the afternoon slowly begins to soften as the sun dips lower in the western sky. The long golden shadows of the wooden masts stretch lazily across the entire length of the clean deck planks. A cooler, refreshing breeze begins to ripple over the water, bringing the gentle scent of wet salt and distant hidden reefs. Jaka steps back into the galley, feeling the air shift from a heavy warmth to a pleasant, soothing cool. The daily rhythm of the ship continues its steady, unhurried march toward the quiet evening hours. He gently runs his fingers along the edge of the wooden counter, enjoying the cool, smooth texture of the old, seasoned wood. The peaceful stillness of the sea seems to deepen with every passing minute. He decides to prepare a small, simple snack of dried fish to accompany the remaining cold rice for the crew's evening meal. He takes a small, shallow clay brazier and places a few pieces of natural coconut charcoal inside. With a single match, he coaxes a tiny dancing flame onto the dark, textured pieces of coal. The charcoal ignites with a series of very faint, rhythmic clicks and crackles that sound like tiny whispers in the room. A thin, delicate line of pale gray smoke curls lazily upward, drifting out through the open galley window. Jaka watches the smoke disappear into the soft blue sky, completely mesmerized by its slow, winding path. He fans the coals gently with a small woven palm leaf, watching the edges turn a soft, glowing red. He selects a few thin pieces of dried fish from a neatly woven palm leaf pouch hanging from the dark ceiling beam. The dried fish is firm and holds the clean, sharp scent of the open sea and sun-cured coastal salt. He places the pieces carefully onto a small iron grate directly over the glowing orange embers. Instantly, a soft, appetizing sizzle fills the small kitchen, accompanied by a rich, savory aroma. The scent of toasted salt and mild smoke spreads gently across the aft deck, signaling a quiet end to the day. He uses a pair of simple bamboo tongs to turn the pieces over with absolute unhurried care. The skin of the fish turns a beautiful, crispy golden brown under the gentle heat. While the fish roasts slowly, Jaka gently unwraps the large clay pot containing the morning's cooked rice. The rice has cooled completely, its grains now firm, plump, and subtly sweet from the infused pandan leaf. He uses his hands to gently separate the grains, placing them into small, clean coconut shells that serve as simple bowls. The cool, smooth texture of the coconut shells feels wonderfully grounding in his calloused hands. He adds a small piece of the warm, smoky, dried fish to the side of each white mound of rice. The contrast between the cool, fragrant grain and the warm, savory fish is incredibly simple and satisfying. He sets the bowls out in a neat, orderly row on the darkened countertop. The sun finally touches the edge of the distant horizon, turning the sky into a soft canvas of lavender, violet, and deep amber. Jaka sits down by the open door, watching the first evening stars blink faintly into existence one by one. The rhythmic lapping of the waves against the ship's side feels deeper now, a steady, eternal heartbeat. The small crew will soon gather to quietly share this humble meal under the darkening sky. His mind feels beautifully empty, completely aligned with the slow, drifting motion of the wooden vessel. A heavy, restful yawn overtakes him as the last light of day fades into the sea. There is only the peaceful onset of the night, wrapping the entire world in a heavy, comforting blanket of silence.
The deep purple of twilight spreads completely across the horizon, blending the sky and the sea into a seamless indigo curtain. The crew members finish their simple evening meal in complete, respectful silence, their dark silhouettes melting into the shadows of the deck. They carefully set down their empty coconut shells, making a faint, hollow thud against the soft palm mats. Jaka watches them from the galley door, feeling the cool, refreshing dampness of the night air settle on his shoulders. The daily work of the ship has drawn to a natural, quiet close, leaving only the rhythm of the open water. The gentle rocking of the vessel becomes more pronounced now that the world has grown dark and still. The soft water laps lazily against the thick wooden hull. Jaka steps forward to gather the empty coconut bowls, his bare feet sliding smoothly over the familiar, cool teak deck planks. He carries them back into the dark galley, where the last embers of the charcoal brazier glow like a tiny, distant star. He rinses each bowl one by one with a ladle of cool, fresh water, listening to the soft, rhythmic splash of the liquid. The sound is small and intimate, completely contained within the wooden walls of his small kitchen. He wipes each bowl dry with a piece of faded cotton cloth, tracing the rough, fibrous outer shell with his thumb. He stacks them neatly on the low shelf, ensuring everything is perfectly in its place for the coming night. The simple order of the kitchen brings a deep peace to his mind. He takes a heavy glass lantern from its brass hook, preparing to light the evening lamp that hangs at the stern of the ship. He lifts the glass globe slowly, his movements deliberate and entirely unhurried by the passage of time. He strikes a small wooden match, watching the spark catch the amber-soaked wick with a soft, warm hiss. The amber flame grows steadily, casting long, lazy shadows across the wooden beams of the deck. He hangs the lantern back on its sturdy peg, where it sways in a slow, hypnotic arc with the movement of the waves. The golden light reflects beautifully on the dark, glass-like surface of the sea below, creating a trail of shimmering ribbons. The tiny light guides the ship through the immense darkness of the ocean.
The cool night wind hums a soft, continuous lullaby through the thick hemp rigging above his head. Jaka spreads a thick woven pandan mat near the galley entrance, where the breeze is gentle and constant. He sits down slowly, drawing his knees up to his chest and wrapping his sarong tightly around his legs for warmth. The smell of the ocean is incredibly clean and deep now, completely stripped of the day's heavy heat. Far out in the dark water, the rhythmic lapping against the hull sounds like a steady, comforting heartbeat. He rests his chin on his knees, staring out into the vast, beautiful emptiness of the starlit Javanese sea. The darkness feels completely safe and protective all around him. A deep, heavy yawn overtakes him, shaking his shoulders slightly and leaving a pleasant tiredness in its wake. The stars above are perfectly bright and clear, blinking silently in the immense, velvety black sky. The ship glides effortlessly forward, guided safely by the steady hands of the night watchman at the helm. Jaka lets his body lean back onto the woven mat, his eyelids growing incredibly heavy and slow. The world has shrunk down to the gentle creak of the old wood and the soft sigh of the night wind. He closes his eyes, drifting away to the perfect, unbothered rhythm of the sleeping trading ship. There is only the peaceful onset of the deep night. The midnight hour arrives with an even deeper stillness that wraps itself completely around the wooden trading ship. Jaka shifts slightly on his woven pandan mat, opening his eyes for just a brief, quiet moment to look up at the starry sky. The air has grown wonderfully cool and crisp, carrying the damp, clean fragrance of the wide open sea. The soft, regular creaking of the old timbers feels like a soothing, rhythmic whisper in the dark. Above him, the vast expanse of the Milky Way stretches out like a dusting of fine silver sand across a black velvet cloth. There is no sound from the rest of the crew, as everyone is tucked away into a deep, peaceful sleep. The ship continues its slow, effortless journey, guided entirely by the gentle hand of the stars. He stands up quietly, his bare feet making absolutely no sound against the smooth, night-cooled deck. He steps inside the dark galley, where the shadows rest heavily and comfortably in every corner. The air inside still holds the faint, sweet memory of the evening's toasted pandan and rice. He reaches out to touch the side of the large terracotta water jar, feeling its cool, damp exterior against his palm. He dips a small wooden ladle into the water, lifting it slowly to take a quiet, refreshing sip. The water is wonderfully clear, washing down his throat with a crisp, clean sensation that settles his mind completely. He rests his hands on the edge of the smooth counter, letting the deep silence of the kitchen wash over him. Through the small wooden slats of the window, he watches the dark water slide past the ship's thick hull. The ocean looks like liquid obsidian, its surface broken only by the soft, glowing sparkles of bioluminescent plankton. These tiny, magical blue lights drift slowly along the side of the vessel, appearing and disappearing like underwater fireflies. Jaka watches them with a slow, unfocused gaze, completely entranced by their quiet, mesmerizing dance. The motion of the sea is so gentle now that the water barely splashes against the wood, creating only a soft, continuous sighing sound. The entire universe feels completely at rest, suspended in a timeless, beautiful void. Every breath he takes is slow, deep,
and perfectly aligned with the slow rolling of the tide. He slowly walks back out to his comfortable spot on the open deck beneath the canvas awning. He lies down once more, letting his head rest gently on his soft, rolled-up cotton sarong. The night wind brushes across his face like a cool, gentle hand, easing away any remaining thoughts from his mind. His muscles feel completely loose and heavy, sinking deeply into the supportive wood of the deck. The slow, steady rhythm of the ship's mast swaying against the starry background acts as a perfect visual lullaby. He lets his eyelids flutter shut, welcoming the heavy, comfortable darkness that presses softly against his eyes. The deep peace of the sea fills him entirely, washing away the last traces of the waking world. The ship glides onward through the velvety black night, an isolated haven of absolute tranquility. The low, deep hum of the ocean beneath him vibrates softly through the thick, sturdy timbers of his bed. It is a song of endless journeys and quiet nights, repeated over and over for generations of sailors. Jaka surrenders completely to the steady, hypnotic rocking of his wooden home. His breathing becomes long, measured, and entirely peaceful as he drifts back into a dreamless sleep. The world remains perfectly still, held in the gentle embrace of the dark sea. There is only the darkness, the stars, and the slow, beautiful boredom of the endless sea. The final hour of the deep night cradles the ship in a state of complete, unbroken stillness. The vast expanse of the Java Sea remains perfectly flat, an endless highway of dark, quiet water. The cool breeze of the pre-dawn hours moves softly over the wooden deck, carrying away the last whispers of yesterday. Jaka lies perfectly still beneath the canvas awning, his breathing deep, steady, and entirely at peace. The rhythmic, slow rocking of the heavy timber hull acts as a continuous, gentle lullaby that never changes. The world around the trading ship is wrapped in a profound, beautiful silence that feels as wide as the ocean itself. In the dim, quiet galley, the clay pots and bamboo baskets rest in their familiar, orderly rows. The scent of yesterday's cooked rice and sweet pandan leaf has faded into a clean, gentle memory. Below the deck, the hundreds of dry burlap sacks of rice remain safely packed in the cool, dark belly of the hold. Every single grain of the precious cargo is still, waiting patiently for the destination that lies far across the water. There is no rush to arrive, no urgency to meet the dawn, only the slow, natural drifting of the wooden vessel. The ship knows its path through the dark waters, guided by the timeless, quiet rhythms of the sea. The single brass navigation lantern at the stern continues its slow, hypnotic swing against the velvet sky. Its warm amber light casts a soft, rhythmic glow onto the dark surface of the gentle water below. Jaka pulls his soft cotton sarong slightly closer around his shoulders, feeling the comforting warmth of the woven fabric. His mind is completely empty of thoughts, drifting effortlessly in the space between wakefulness and deep sleep. The repetitive, soft splashing of the water against the thick hull sounds like a distant, soothing whisper. Every part of his body feels wonderfully heavy, sinking into a state of total, absolute relaxation.
A single bright morning star appears low on the eastern horizon, shining with a pale silver light. It signals the gentle approach of a new day, one that will bring the exact same peaceful routines as before. Soon the first light of dawn will filter softly through the wooden slats of the galley window once more. Jaka will eventually wake up without a rush, rinse the fresh white grain, and light the small charcoal stove. But for now, the morning is still a distant promise, and the deep peace of the night remains unbroken. There is only the quiet comfort of the present moment, held safely in the arms of the vast ocean. The ship glides silently forward into the soft, dark shadows of the early morning hours. The endless cycle of the sea continues its slow, beautiful dance, bringing a profound sense of rest to the tired crew. Jaka closes his eyes completely, surrendering his last waking thoughts to the gentle, rhythmic sway of his wooden home. His breath slows down to match the deep, eternal heartbeat of the rolling Javanese tide. The world remains perfectly still, wrapped in a blanket of absolute tranquility and endless comforting sleep. Sleep comes easily now, heavy and warm, as the trading ship drifts peacefully under the stars.